I've gotten much better at roughing it, haven't I?
Yep, this time you only packed 3 suitcases.
And you're still making me carry all your stuff, bitch. Ever since Season 3, I've loved the idea of AJ, Dash, and Rary having a good time with their little sisters. The simplistic nature of it creates a true slice-of-life experience that the show has been built upon for so long. And it's not just the idea itself, but also how the concept is told in an interesting way. We get the 6 doing an activity for them to bond over, such as camping out in the woods. And now we have them telling stories about their favorite legends in Campfire Tales, which is a pretty cool follow-up to Sleepless in Ponyville. The CMC and their sisters are out on their annual camping trip, but are unfortunately ambushed by a group of flighters and forced into hiding in a cave. While inside, they decide to pass the time by listening to 3 stories of their favorite legends. Applejack tells the story of Rockhoof, who saved his village from a volcano. Rarity tells the story of Mist Mane and how she used her magic to help others. And Rainbow Dash tells the story of Flash Magnus and how he rescued his comrades from 2 fierce dragons. It's a pretty simple idea for an episode, but its style fits the slice-of-life quo, and the episode finds some interesting ways to tell it. The pacing is evenly crafted, and the interactions between the sisters has a genuine spirit to it. The older sisters come across as wise and supportive, while the little sisters have a string of different emotions. They're playful, curious, scared, excitable, and go through stages of disappointment when their camping trip is ruined. The ways they bounce off of each other and how they transition in and out of stories gives the episode a natural flow. Each of the 3 stories has a reasonable focus put into them, and what's really interesting is how they're told from the perspective of the older sisters. The way they delve into these legends feels like they're talking about things that inspired them and helped them shape into who they are now. They focus on ponies they identify with and feel relatable to. AJ with Rockhoof's determination and strong will, Rarity with Mist Mane's kind-hearted selflessness, and Dash with Magnus's courage and quick wit. It's kind of interesting how these stories are used to delve inside these characters, what motivates them to be who they are, and their desire to pass down that kind of role model to their little sisters. It also gives the sisters something else to relate to, helping them bond more closely. I also like some attention to detail they installed into the episode and how subtly it's done. We see Sweetie Belle projecting a barrier to protect herself from flighters, which demonstrates her progression in magic, and there's a cleverly layered joke where Rockhoof squeaks in terror, but it zooms in and out to show it was actually Applebloom squealing from excitement. But my favorite one is Scootaloo allowing herself to be scared. At first I thought her fear was kind of forced, but when you really compare it to Sleepless in Ponyville, you notice some bits of character growth. Instead of trying to hide how afraid she is, she's now openly expressing her anxiety. So she's actually taking Dash's lesson on how it's okay to be scared to heart. There's even a nice spin on it where Dash reminds Scootaloo about the idea behind Magnus's story. How courage isn't just about being brave, but also doing brave things despite being afraid. Of the 3 stories, I have to say that Mist Mane's is my absolute favorite. It's timed, paced, and delivered from Rarity's perspective flawlessly. And the story itself has a beautiful hook to it along with some nice detail. We have some nice new designs of unicorns that have a crisp sharpness to them, and its use of water and fire to symbolize the fight between Mist and Sable is really good, demonstrating how one is calm and collective while the other is filled with rage. Even its use of Asian culture makes it much more symbolic in its design. What helps make this one feel so special in particular is because of how it's Rarity telling the story. It's a story of how an elegant and caring unicorn sacrificed her beauty to bring happiness to others and save her village and her best friend, which resonates very strongly with her generous personality. It's definitely the best part of the episode and a great thing for Sweetie Belle to take after. The other 2 stories are okay. They're not really bad stories, and they do a nice job resonating with AJ and Dash, but they seem to lack that strong level of detail and meaning that Rarity's story had. They're both kind of basic and a little too standard compared to Mist Mane's legend. Rockhoof's story in particular actually has a bit of contrivancy to it. The story was supposed to be about a guy proving his strength to his clan, but it ends up being given to him out of nowhere. Instead of him working towards that strength and rightfully earning it, it seems to come out of nowhere, which feels very unnatural. I heard that Rockhoof's story was handled much better in the comics which this episode ties into, and for right now, I'm willing to bet that's the case. I do like the idea of the episode overall delving into some world building and history, which could help expand Equestria in some ways. I even like how the episode establishes how Dash and Scoot are now basically sisters to each other, and how their relationship has grown since Season 3. Dash is more playful and silly, which makes her more grounded onto Scootaloo's level, but she still acts older and deeply supportive of her. And seeing Scootaloo being more open about interacting with her having earned her guidance, and working around the fear of not being worth Dash's time is a nice triumph on her end. And seeing the two coming closer together through inspiration by Magnus's story is both touching and thoughtful. There is one questionable thing to come out of this episode, and it's basically how it's tied into the comics. I mean, I love the idea of the show and the comics being more connected and making the comics far more than just soft canon. But there's also the possibility that it's not what the staff had in mind with this episode. This is stuff that could potentially add depth to the series overall, and it's annoying that the show won't fully acknowledge the comics to help with that. But all in all, Campfire Tales has a lot of good stuff going for it. Using legends of the past to explore the world's history and the characters, and even using them to tell some interesting stories. It's not a great episode, but it's still really satisfying. It's an episode that I'll be seeing again sometime soon. MisAnthro Pony, over and out.